Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining all of us here live with Pastor Heather and myself, and we have some guests with us. I'll introduce the guests to you from left to right, from your right to our left. This is Leah Sheridan, this is Ben Sheridan, this is Melissa Gallamay, and this is Jake and Stephanie Deal. They're all covering some different areas of stuff that we're doing. Let me share this real quick so we can get all the viewers on board with this. 1 second. Join us. So we just wanted to just kind of do a little bit of touching on what we just kind of got into last week, how we talked about how this coronavirus has affected different businesses, different health things, different personal things. It's affected a great deal of things. And so I thought I'd bring on a panel of some folks with different perspectives and different things going on in life, and I think that would give us a little bit of insight. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're trying to inform a little bit, but also just kind of connect with those of you that maybe might connect or relate to them. And so you could see yourself in this and maybe go, hey, you know what? There's a way out of this. There's some hope for this. And so that's ultimately what we're doing here. Babe, do you want to say hello to anybody or just kind of greet the folks before we get
Hello, everybody.
here?
Today's Thursday?
Today is Thursday.
Happy Thursday. We love you. We miss you guys. And we hope to get back soon, which I think will be there. So, yeah.
We're just going to kind of wait just for a few moments just to allow some more viewers to come on. But while we do that, I want to just kind of make a disclaimer here. We are not here to attack any workplaces. We are not here to attack any medical places. That's not our aim here. Our aim isn't to throw shade on anybody or anything other than the spirit of fear and the enemy that's trying to work to divide through this thing. But ultimately, there will be some informing going on, and we will be talking about some things. But our goal is not to try to make any institution or agency look bad at all. Even Governor Newsom, that's really not our aim here. I don't think he's a good leader, but that's not what my aim here is. It's not to throw shade on him. Man, I just can't stop doing that. I am who I am. All right. But he is making some adjustments to his leading by following a better leader, our president. I think he's following a good leader by doing that. So I just want you guys to know what our aim is here, what our goal is here. It's not to be confrontational. It's not to be divisive, or it's not to be accusative. It's literally just to be informative. A lot of ifs words there being used. So, man, I'm gonna go ahead and start with asking just kind of a personal question, and then you guys can all just kind of go from there. We'll start with Jake. Jake, just what I want to ask you guys is, how has this affected you personally? I'm not talking about now. This is Jake and Stephanie Deal. They own CryoAid. It's a business. It's a small business that they have. They are small business owners, and they are also a part of our ministry here, a part of our church here, a part of our communities. They do our announcements. You'll see them on Sundays. They serve on different teams. They are just go-getters, man, and just a huge part of the ministry and work here at Harvest Clear Lake. And, man, we love having them. But I just want to start with you and just start and ask the question, and how has this positively affected your personal life and negatively affected your personal life? And then we'll get into the business in just a little bit. But I'd like to start with you and ask the whole panel to answer that.
Okay, so how it's affected me in a positive way. I'm sorry, I'm new to this. Are we looking at this one or this one? This one? Okay. All right. So in a positive way, I have never been more connected to the church body and our church family here. So that's like the biggest positive I feel out of this whole thing so far. I mean, also, being able to spend more time with my family. I think a lot of people could agree with that as well. But just the leadership we have here, and them just jumping, not even missing a beat in having virtual things to be able to connect in. And literally, like every single day of the week, we can pop on to a Zoom call and just constantly just stay connected and encouraged during this time. I just feel like that's the most positive. Negative now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so negative in being so connected, being kind of told what to do and where to go for me that's pretty negative, because
Right.
we live in a, quote unquote free world. And so for that, it's kind of like, okay, well, I'll just be honest. I've been having a hard time with it anyway, so you'll find me at the local grocery store quite a bit for essential things. But just not being able to just have that freedom to be like, oh, okay, we want to go camping or we want to do this or whatever, has been really, really challenging for me. And then the other thing is depression kept trying to creep in on me. Just a little voice nagging in my head. I've always had a little voice that just still doesn't stop, but I'm able to steer it with the encouraging. So it kind of goes hand in hand there with that. So some of the worst parts have been that too, just kind of the negative trying to creep in, but then also having a way to connect.
Awesome. Steph, same questions for you.
I think a positive is definitely, I'm just going to piggyback on what my husband said, is just our family time. I know that the stress of having to close our small business is major, and the silver lining is that we got to be together the last 8 weeks every day. So that has been a really big positive. Our family has grown closer together because in this time we've gotten closer to God. So just that quiet time and the extra time, even as a stay-at-home mom, like I was always out and about. Like I just did my thing all the time. So not having that and just being at home with my family it's just a huge blessing. It's funny because I prayed for more present time with my daughter and with my husband, and even though this isn't how you would want your prayer answered, it was an answered prayer and it was a yes, and I'm trying to just soak it all in. A negative would just be being thrusted into homeschooling, and having an only child is tough in the sense that she doesn't have her friends and her normal around. So it's kind of like I am her mother, her teacher, her covering, but I'm also trying to be her friend and like fill that role too. And it's just really tough on her. So as a mother, it's tough on me, but we're getting through it. So
Awesome. Melissa, same thing for you.
So positives, like Steph and Jake, just the family unity and like having my kids. And I also had been praying, like, I literally felt like I was mourning the loss of my 13-year-old. I felt like our lives were so busy with sports and school and homework and all the things that I literally was like, he's going to be gone in 5 years. And like, I'm craving time with him. And on top of it, I felt like I was so exhausted and run down because I was constantly doing something for someone all the time. And I'd actually went away right when this started. And I went to Georgia for a week, and I thought I would come home feeling rested. And I just was drained, like literally to my core. Every part of me needed rest and needed refreshment. And like Steph said, like obviously this isn't what we asked for, but the blessings that I see in it is way more than the negatives. And the other thing is I'm way more intentional with my time. Like I was giving so much to so many things that I wasn't catching my breath and being able to pour into my kids or a prayer life or start a devotional or lead a Bible study, like the things that were on my heart, or pour into my team, because I do run a business from home as well, and I've been able to sit down and do one-on-one mentoring, which has led to amazing things that I honestly don't think would have happened if I was still on that hamster wheel. And then the negative, I've struggled with anxiety and depression since as far as I can remember, and I felt like the enemy started really trying to take a hold of me in week 2, and my mindset kind of was in just like a scarcity, like, what are we going to do? And it wasn't for my household. it was more of my friends who were small business owners and how were we going to be able to do that. And then all these things started getting canceled that we were looking forward to, like vacations and trips this summer. And I was out a lot of money in airline tickets, and the thought of not being able to see my dad or my mom or take spontaneous trips, and I'm a doer. I just told you, like, I've been going. So that was really hard on me, and about 3 weeks ago, I was home by myself. My husband was gone doing some work at our family property, and I was going to drink, and no one was going to know because he was going to be gone all day, and I've been sober for almost 4 years now, and literally back and forth. Should I not? I could probably just have one and be fine. And it was like this argument that I had, and I literally just had to get on my knees and like beg God to walk me through that, because I felt so tempted by like the loneliness that I felt, and I felt like it would be fun, right? Like quarantine's kind of boring, and like this would make it fun. Like
Right.
I'd probably be a much cooler mom. Like I wouldn't have to have all the things and all the places and get your schoolwork and do this. Like it would loosen me up, and maybe my husband would have a little bit more of a fun wife. And I know that was the enemy, and like I know that listening to what I know is truth and like grabbing my Bible and like literally praying for myself was what I had to do. So yeah, I know that's
Awesome.
long-winded.
No, that's perfect. Ben?
Yeah, so for me, like everyone has said, a positive has been being able to spend time with my family more. I enjoy homeschooling my kids. I was homeschooled part of my schooling growing up. I think there's definitely positives to that. However, the negative side of it is I am a nursing student. I also work in healthcare, so I'm blessed that I'm still able to work most of the time when the hospital's not empty. But so I'm thankful for that. But on top of that, my schooling has been canceled for this semester, and I'll have to restart everything I've done. Hopefully next semester. But now the school that I attend has said that they're doing remote instruction for next semester as well. So I'm not sure how that's going to look. So with that, definitely there's been a lot of anxiety. How I'm going to be able to provide for my family going forward. Right now I'm not in the best situation. Definitely not where I want to be, but God has always provided, and I know He always will. But sometimes that anxiety still creeps in. As my wife will talk about, she owns a small business as well, so that's a big chunk of our income that we haven't been able to have. And so you can look at the positives of this, and it's always great to do that. But the truth is that probably everyone watching this could list positives and can list negatives about what's going on. And the negatives are serious. It's not, for some, it's worse than others. Some people are losing everything they've worked for their entire lives, the businesses they've built over decades, maybe. They're losing a lot more. Some people are losing their life. But I think it's important that we understand that it's okay to be okay with the fact that everyone is having negatives from this. What I'm trying to say is it's not just being mildly inconvenienced for a lot of people. I mean, people are falling deep into depression, falling back into things they've been delivered from. Like Melissa just talked about, I mean, thank God that God walked her through that moment, but other people, it's not the same. They're not having the same outcome, and it's important to note that.
Leah?
I am going to start with the negatives first because I kind of want to end on a positive note. But, so, like my husband mentioned, I do have a small business, a photography business. I'll kind of go into that more later, but I haven't been able to work. I'm not deemed essential to work right now, so that wasn't in the plan. My husband not finishing school this semester, or maybe even next semester, that wasn't in the plan. So the plans have just shifted a lot from what we planned for and what we had like saved for and everything. So that was a big shift. Another negative for me would be a fear of saying what I believe and people coming for me for what I believe. It seems like if you don't go with the flow or the norm, then you are deemed a person who doesn't value life or who wants people to be hurt and sick and die from coronavirus. And trust me, that's definitely, I don't want anyone to die from anything. That doesn't make me happy. And just because I don't agree with certain media things, that doesn't mean that I don't care for human life. But I just think we should consider all human life, and the people like Melissa that are struggling with alcohol abuse or drug abuse or child abuse or domestic violence. That's just really been on my heart. But to say the positives, we have definitely been pushed out of our comfort zone here at the church, just stepping up to do this live thing, which we never really did before. We just did the cell phone thing. So we've definitely had a big part in orchestrating that, and so out of our comfort zone, but
We definitely haven't been bored.
yeah, we haven't been bored. We still have been really busy, and I think that is amazing though, because God has really been there with us, and it really forces you more to be in his presence at home instead of just like relying on that from your hour and a half at church every Sunday. You have to be the pastor for your kids now. You have to be the person that's putting positive words into them every day, and they're home all day long, and so it is more stressful. But I'm just blessed that we have the opportunity, and it's silly maybe, but the live streaming has just brought. It's been so fun. Me and Jade were just talking on Monday night that after you're done live streaming, you're like exhausted. Like, it's weird. You're just like, you need a nap because it's so, your brain's just moving so fast and you're trying to figure everything out and you don't want things to go wrong. But I was telling my husband how every Sunday I'm so nervous now because I have to go do it again, and I miss it. I miss church, but he was like, it's not about a performance, really. It's just getting the word out there to people, getting hope out there to people, getting Jesus out there. And I think that we can put, like, human limitations on God.
Yeah.
But, gosh, let me tell you, he is a mighty God, and he can work through a screen, and we can reach people that way. So that's really... That's really blessed me.
One of the things that I've noticed, and anybody can jump on this before I actually pin you on why I got you here.
It sounds bad.
It doesn't. It's not bad. But
I
there's
love
a
it.
purpose
Let's go.
behind everything. Something I've noticed is the polarizing effect that this has had, this COVID has had with friends and family. At least for me, I see it a lot. Even beyond social media, I could just certain family members are just they feel differently, and even certain folks in church feel differently, and I can feel the polarizing effect, and I'm making attempts to try to make sure that there's no division over something that I believe is going to be in our rearview mirror in no time. Anybody could jump in here and just tell me what it's been like for you as far as that goes.
So I definitely have an opinion, and I think, like Leah, I've held my tongue a lot because the small moments that I have shared, it has become that I, just am not seeing this for what it is, where I feel like I am. I feel like I'm not afraid. I don't wish it upon anyone, but I also think it's being blown up in media, and so I think the tension and difference in his opinions, especially through social media. And so I personally have chose to refrain from being that bold because it leaves me in a nasty mood and I don't like it. And again, people are entitled to their own feelings, but what I've been encouraging, because it's not just me and I have these conversations, is we pray for those people and we pray for their hearts, because we don't want to lose relationships over a disagreement. And I just keep praying that people aren't scared, that they can come out of being terrified so that we can continue relationships. Like, I walked into Safeway in Napa yesterday, and I had my mask out of respect because I am going to respect what I'm being asked to do. But when I noticed there was one person without a mask, I was like, oh, I don't have to wear it. And I looked like the minority, and I was okay with that. And I think that's something that, to you who might be listening, or maybe it's someone here in the room and, really preaching to myself, is it's okay to be different.
Yeah.
We weren't called to be the same. We weren't called to have the same opinions as everyone else. And even if it makes somebody else uncomfortable, if you're on social media, there is an unfollow and a delete button for a reason. Yeah. And if anyone gets nasty on my page, I literally delete the comment because I just am not going to feed into it. So
I think something that I've noticed is how to know where the origin is, because you can have a different view on this situation, and we do. But here's how I want to address this. If you feel like somebody having a different view than you makes you want to stop talking to them, that's a spirit of division. It's not a difference of opinion anymore. A difference of opinion is literally what makes the world go around. It's what makes the world better. The moment you feel like you have to disconnect from somebody because their opinion differs, it's a spirit behind it. There is an end goal behind it, and it's division. And so that's something that I guard for. The moment I realize, if I feel like I want to separate from somebody, I know that's not the Lord. That's not a difference of opinion. It's a spirit of division. And so that's something that we should watch for. And it seems to me, and I know this is probably going to cause some more separations, but it seems to me that if the people that believe that this is absolutely a pandemic, they're quick to just absolutely cut us off because we don't believe it is, and to call us insensitive, and some of you touched on that, or to call us like we don't care about lives, and we do care about lives, but we just weigh the balance, and leaders weigh balances. Followers just follow what they're being told. Leaders assess the situation and go, okay, I see when, let's just use this in terminology of an army, okay, in warfare. If a general will see that a push into a certain area, they're going to lose some men, but the overall picture of what they're going to gain of losing some men is going to be worth that. We can't shut our entire nation, our entire world down because of 30,000 deaths. We can't do that. That's not logical, because the amount of deaths that will come from the depressions, the isolations, the abuses, the drug abuses, the domestic violences will so skyrocket that it'll make that number seem absolutely abysmal comparatively to the numbers that will come compoundingly from that. And so you have to weigh, as a leader, we have to weigh out, is us locking down for the next several months, is that beneficial for our country, for our city, for our state, for our family? And overwhelmingly, I think if you start to assess the big picture, you go, oh, you know what? It's not. We can't not fight a war because we're going to lose some soldiers. We fight a war because of what it means in the long term. We fight a war. We free places like Afghanistan and different places like that. We fight those wars because we know that the soldiers that we lose, and we honor and respect and we love and we appreciate every last one of them. But the soldiers that we lose, we know that the lives that are being saved are worth that. It's worth that. And so I think we could take a look at the picture of Christ and say, the life that he gave was worth all the lives that he saved. And so, yeah, I know that's not the same thing. I get it. But what I'm saying is, as leaders, as people who are thinking people, we have to assess the situation and go, okay, yeah, I get it. There was a potential scare here. We needed to do some things and just to be precautionary. But now that we've gone through this, we see that those precautions were unnecessary. And so now we have to make some adjustments and move forward. I want to talk a little bit. Do you have something to say, babe, on that?
I want to say something right. So I was reading an article, and they were saying the suicide hotline is up 180%. It's crazy. It's a crazy.
That's astounding.
That's crazy. And the thing is, I don't usually get upset about things, but I'm upset about how this is being handled, because what they're asking us to do is it's not even right. They're saying just lock up in your house, wait till this passes. But in the meantime, as pastors, we know that life still goes on. So we're still dealing with people who have addiction issues and depression, and people who are what's the word, extroverts, that need like the social, and they need people around them, because that's how they feed. And so I am really, really upset about how this is being handled, because I like he was saying, I believe that, okay, a couple weeks, let's see how this goes. We didn't know much about this virus, but now it's to the point where it's just done. It's so done. And so we need to get back to real life, and we need to deal with real issues. Not that this is not an issue. I get it. People are getting sick. But depression, anxiety, and suicide, and all the different things are so much more real. The effects that this is on marriages and such on, the unknown, this is so much more real than the virus itself. So I just wanted to say, like, to our community and our Christians out there, please pray in a different direction of the heaviness and the depression, and come against anxiety, because I can literally feel it. I find myself like getting anxious and like weary, like, oh my God, this is never going to end. And I can't imagine how much other people are feeling it, especially the unsaved ones, the burden and the pressure on them. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, and and here's the thing. I got these folks up here because there are some very real situations that's being affected, and they represent a number that is ridiculously high, okay, that are just like them. I want to talk about some small business. Everybody up here has basically their own business. Now, Melissa runs her business from home, and she's able to continue to do this, but this has hit hers as well. But Jake and Stephanie and Ben and Leah, their business is based on outside access to people. And so I want to start with you, Jake and Stephanie, because I know this has affected small businesses all over the place. For me, I feel like it's such an injustice where Costco gets to stay open, Safeway gets to stay open, Walmart, the Walton family, who are billions and hundreds of billions of people, get to stay open and make money through this. But people like you who have a business that is just as necessary, that is just as vital, can't stay open. Can you guys talk about that a little bit? Tell us what your business is, and then just go into that.
Okay, so we own and operate a cryotherapy studio. It's a natural wellness studio in Napa. Just saying that alone, you can gather that it's essential. I mean, really, all business, I believe, so my opinion, is essential.
Absolutely.
Because people need to make money and provide for their family. So it's essential in that sense. But especially what we're doing too, and again, not to knock any other businesses or anything, cryotherapy and compression therapy and infrared therapy, these things that we offer at our studio actually help boost the immune system, reduce cortisol levels, help clear your mind. It does so much on a deeper level on your physical body and on your mental. That's actually how we got into the business. We lost our house in the Valley Fire. Anxiety, stress was super high. We tried cryotherapy, and we felt different on a physical level and on a mental level. And so we started doing the research and realized that this is all very real. In fact, Poland and some other areas that know about the hot and the cold, you can look up statistically with the coronavirus, they're still getting it, but the death toll is down tremendously in the areas that practice this hot and cold therapy. How it's impacted us, I haven't told you, but we shut down, due to the protocols on March 20th.
Quick question. How much of your housely income is dependent on your business?
90%. And the other 10%, we have an Airbnb on our property, which got knocked in this too. So 100%.
So, 100%. Yes.
100%. So, it's one of those things where in the beginning, a part of me wanted to fight and just stay open. And I know other businesses did. And looking back now, I probably could have, but with so much uncertainty surrounding the virus, it was painted as this thing like you get it, you die. Essentially, is the way I felt about it. So I was trying to do the responsible thing too, as a business owner, as a small business owner, be like, you know what? I've always been. My grandparents instilled this in me that you're always for the people, you're always for the community, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to support you or not. And so I wanted to support them in, okay, we're going to be one business. We're going to kind of lead the way here, shut down, hope all other businesses fall suit. Because in reality, what I was thinking when this whole thing cracked out is that every business was going to shut and there was going to be nobody on the streets. That's what I thought when you talk about a shelter in place for 2 weeks, when they were talking about getting food for 2 weeks, when they were talking about getting pharmaceuticals for 2 weeks. I literally thought America was going to shut for 2 weeks, and it made sense to me at that point. But as everybody knows, that's not the case. Some of the roads are busier than they've ever been, and stores. And so, but anyway, with that, I just wanted to say that of course it did impact us. We are going to be opening this Monday coming up. We have been deemed essential by the county. It's not something that we're just saying. We are deemed essential. We're in the health district. And so, yeah, we can't wait to get back and serve the community in that. We reached out to our customer base. They're really, really excited to be able to get back to that. And so,
Just to add on just a little bit, I know for me, watching my husband close his business was super hard because of just, I don't want to cry, there's nothing to cry about, but I'm not crying, you're crying. I cried when you talked too. It's just the uncertainty just eats you alive. And not knowing and just like, are we going to open? Is there going to be anyone to open to? Not in a sense that like death, but like the cancellations of appointments and just people's fear. And our foundation is so solid in Christ, but we know that his clients aren't, and are they going to come back even when it's okay? And just all that like spinning and just twirling day in and day out in that roller coaster ride has just been super tough. But I think that was like the hardest thing. And also his clients that do have like chronic illness that get off of their medication when they see him regularly. Like they literally called him, emailed him, please stay open. And it's tough to be like, we just can't right now. So, and those same people are the ones calling and emailing him and messaging him saying, thank the good Lord that you're opening because I need you. So
that's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. Melissa, talk a little bit about how it's affected yours. I know you work with people a lot, so just tell us a little bit about the effects it's had on you.
So, as I shared in the beginning, I was really nervous, and I can say looking back at, because I track what my business does, and March was like the lowest month I've had in years. And I know that was my energy. That was my scarcity mindset. And so towards the end of March, I was like, nope, I'm not buying it. I'm not falling into this. I'm not going to let this hold me down. And so I started pouring out into people. And when I say pouring out into them, I mean just reaching out and saying, how's your family doing through this? And touching base with them. And I do have an at-home business that offers a solution virtually. So I am really blessed in that way. And I just started connecting with people and checking on their mindset, because I'm a firm believer, if you get healthy from the inside out, everything can change, and it doesn't matter how much you work out or what you eat. Like, when you take control of your mindset, everything can change. And then we address the other things. And April was my best month ever in 6 years of owning my business.
Wow,
And
that's
the cool
amazing.
thing about that is my husband did get laid off. And for the first time, we didn't stress. We didn't stress about how we were going to be able to. And actually, there was some things that went on within our community and within people within our church where I was able to, without even question, can we give? And we gave. And that was like such a good feeling to be able to do. So it's different. It is health and wellness, but I really think that there's never been a better time to be in my industry and to be able to help people take control, because people need something positive to focus on right now.
Right.
And even though they are sheltered in place at home, they're able to move their body. They're able to say, I don't know what to eat. Okay, here's a simple meal plan. I don't know, I'm missing my gym, or I'm missing CrossFit. We're not trying to take anything away from it. We're just offering a solution.
Right.
love that.
Good. Leah, for you and Ben, I know this season, just the years that we've been connected in ministry and relationship, I know what wedding season is like for you in this season, and just family photos during spring and all of the times. Talk about just a little bit about the effects that this has had on you. And here's the thing: other photographers, other healthcare workers, other personal trainers, and all of the things that Melissa does, more than just a personal trainer, but a life coach. That's what it is, life coach. I couldn't figure out the word. Sorry about that. Small business owners. Just tell us a little bit about just the effects.
Yeah, so I would say about 85 to 90% of my business's income is from weddings, because that's what just brings in the most money. And it's funny because me and Jake had talked about how we were thriving right before this, and like, oh, this is going to be a good year. Things are going good. I had the most weddings I had ever booked planned this year, and now I have 3 completely canceled weddings because the circumstances, they live out of state or they're moving out of state, which I understand that. I have 4 rescheduled weddings, which moves them to next year. So not only does that affect this year's income, but next year's income, because now my dates are going to be booked up for 2021. And then I have the rest that are in the balance of, what should we do?
Right.
We're waiting. And it's just really sad, because I know the sickness is real and people are sick, but it's also sad, and people have they have a right to feel sad about losing memories and losing their wedding that they dreamed of, that they already
Absolutely.
planned out. And not only me, but the whole wedding industry. There's no weddings happening right
They're
now.
allowing
Like you
them.
can't even get a wedding, a marriage license right now because of the courts.
As if that's not essential.
Yeah. So, which understandably, people want their family to be there. You can't travel right now. So that's just the biggest reason probably. And also they want to keep their grandparents safe, which I understand completely, but it's just put my business at a complete halt. And it's just sad because, like, the deals, I've definitely stressed out a lot about what ifs, and it's not just losing out on that money, and then it comes to people wanting certain refunds, and I can't, as a small
Right.
business, sustain by refunding every single client or deposit, which sucks because if I could, I would, but I'm just not there as a
Right.
small business. But then comes the fact of family photos, which also would be a booming time, spring, good weather, and everything. So I've contacted the county, and I've not been deemed essential, which it blows my mind that Bevmo can stay open
Right.
to sell alcohol, but I can't go outside in the open air and stay 6 feet away perfectly fine. I have a
Yeah, you're
I
not going
have
to be
some
closer than that anyway taking
yeah,
pictures.
I have my lenses are very
Yeah.
capable of staying 6 feet away, out in the open air, so in my mind, I feel like I took the precautions in the beginning for my business. Of course, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know the virus, and of course, I want to keep my clients safe. And where weddings go, I understand just not being able to get all the things you need to plan a wedding or do a wedding right now, but the outdoor photo sessions, that's where I feel like the freedom of small businesses is really being like pushed back on in a way I don't understand, because I feel like we should be able to make that choice.
And there comes a time when I think it stops being safety's sake and constitutional sake. I think there comes a time when push turns into a shove, and it's like, okay, now we got to start making some stands here.
Absolutely.
I could say this now. that I have personally seen the differences and the losses to you guys, financially, emotionally. You guys are staying spiritually strong, and you guys are a testament, and that's why you're in my leadership, because of that. But I've seen the losses and the stresses and how you've dealt with them, and I've been absolutely just impressed with your ability to just handle whatever this thing's throwing at you. But I think there comes a time where we have to make some stands. I know, with healthcare, the sacrifices that are being made, all for the sake of healthcare. Like Melissa, you have rheumatoid arthritis. Tell us a little bit about how the healthcare. I can tell you for myself, I've had my when I got my glasses, they were doing my eye checks, and they check you for glaucoma now automatically, and they said they think that I have glaucoma. So I'm like, okay, that means I'm going to go blind in one of my eyes. So I'm like, okay, well then let's make the appointment. And it was for 3 weeks. They canceled that. Then they made it another one. They canceled that, and they made it another one to cancel that. And so I'm like, I'm not even able to go in there. Now, I trust the Lord, but how about the people that don't have this relationship with God? Because I'm like, I go blind, oh, well. I'm going to be the blind preacher. That, you know what I mean? I feel like that's going to be like a thing. I'm already like fantasized about it. I know that's weird, but I'm like, I'll be the blind preacher. That's going to be a thing. People are like, go, you need to check this guy out. But anyways, I digress.
I want to say something, too, real quick. And there's a lot of that camera. I always get confused. Okay, this one. A lot of people that, like, I like what Leo was saying. A lot of people, like, we can't even give our opinion about this whole thing. And they're like, oh, you just need to shelter in place. And most of the people that are saying this, their income is financially okay.
Right.
And
they're
so
stable.
They're stable. And so they're not, we have to be thoughtful. We have to have compassion. And not only that, like Melissa, she has an autoimmune disease, but she's choosing not to live in fear. She's technically one of the vulnerables who cannot get health care right now. So honestly, a lot of this is just like ludicrous, and like we really need, like he was saying, it's really coming down constitutionally now. Yeah. Like we have to be able to stand up for our rights. We have to be able to agree to disagree. I got it.
Agree to disagree.
Yes. I usually say, Ben, be quiet. But anyway, so we have to be able to stand our ground. We have to be able to voice our concerns. And this is the thing. We have to get to a place where who cares what people think, honestly. You have your opinion. We have our opinion. And so this is the thing. It's affecting everybody. So this is where we have to be thoughtful. We have to have compassion. We have to have love. And we can't, like he said, be wedged by division. And that's what it's really coming down. It's like there's so many opinions out there. There's so many frustrations out there. And I just wanted to put that out there. Just because it's not affecting you doesn't mean it's not affecting everybody else. So
yeah, talk to us a little bit, Melissa, just about the neglect that's happening with you.
So I had a treatment in December. This all started to come up. I go every 8 weeks. I go to Kaiser. I sit there for an hour and a half. They put infused medication into my body. So when all this started happening, and it was right in the heart of when they were like, nobody can go anywhere. And if you come in, it's like life altering. You got to sign your life away. So I made the decision not to go to my next treatment because I wasn't going to sit there. Potentially at that time, I was scared, right? I thought, just like Jake was saying, like, you catch this, like...
And with that autoimmune disease.
Well, and so let me get with that. So my dad and I had this conversation because the medication that they put into our bodies suppresses your immune system. And so I was technically one of those people whose immune system was compromised. And so I made the decision that I'm not going to keep getting that, especially if it's going to make me more susceptible to get something easier. And so now I'm completely off any medication for it's 5 months in now to the year. And I've had some pretty bad pain days. This arm does not extend out any farther than this, whereas you can see the big difference.
Right.
And it'll literally lock up, where my husband will have to like extend my arm for me physically. Yeah. But I think, number one, God's got me. and there's nothing that he's not going to bring me through.
Amen.
And number two, my mindset's really strong because I know who's feeding me and where to go get fed.
Yeah.
So, and I've had a lot of people praying for me, but I know that there's other people with rheumatoid arthritis and with other overlying symptoms that aren't as fortunate as me and that don't have the hope, and that feel 100% just. I couldn't imagine if I was in one of my crippling flares where my husband has to carry me to the bathroom or put me in the tub to soak, because that happens.
Sure.
And so I'm like so excited that Jake and Stephanie are about to reopen, because they've given me treatments in the past when I've been in crippling pain, and spot treatments, and she's driven me down there. And so now it's like I'm experiencing pain. I have a solution, right? Yeah. So not only do I get to support my friends, but I get to take care of myself.
Right. Essential.
Right.
This word essential is absolutely driving me nuts because it's so subjective to whatever they think. Right. And the government telling us, Pastor Glenda asked on her, why does the government get to tell us what's essential? Right. How do they get to dictate to us what is essential when essential is based on whatever our life is? Right. And what life we've built. Yeah. That's what's essential. Essential to me is not being able to see all of the people that I've built a life with and ministry with and established relationships with. I don't get to see them, and that to me is essential. It's essential.
Mm-hmm. Can I just touch on that? So, first thought, I think we all need shirts that say essential when we come back to church.
Yes.
Just saying.
That's a great idea.
But the other thing is, like, okay, so in my recovery, I've also been blessed to be able to mentor other people in their walks. I've never been through the program. I don't claim to be a sponsor by any means, but God's just called me, and he's put people in my path that I can pour into. I didn't choose to go into AA. I came into church. And this, like, coming together for people, it is essential. Mm-hmm. It is the lifeline. It is what's keeping people not strung out and on the streets and committing crimes and doing the things like, people are secluded and they're isolated and their minds aren't as strong and they're maybe not rooted the way that we all are. And so this is essential. So for the governor, whoever says that church isn't essential, I mean, I'll argue all day long.
Well, I even spoke with Leah. I wait for her message every week, like, hey, can we do church announcements? I'm like, yes, be there, gotcha. Because it's like the 20, 30 minutes we spend with Ben and Leah every week is essential to us.
Yeah.
Human interaction.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback just on something? Even though we can't meet right now, I really want to actually encourage you that I really feel like God in this time wants to lift up Christ's followers. Yeah. And what I mean by that, too, is a smile has always gone a long way. When you have a mask, you can't see it. And I'm not saying to be irresponsible, but what I am saying is that where you are able to go without masks, I would encourage you to do so. Again, not recklessly, but give somebody a smile. I can't tell you how many times, I mean, I already kind of let you guys know I go to the grocery store quite often right now. But when I'm there, I try to, I smile bigger, and it's not fake, it's in my heart. I just feel that Christ has got me, and so I'm like, hey, how are you? You know, and it just goes a long ways right now. And so I just want to encourage whoever might need to hear that it's okay to be different. Like Pastor said, Christ was different when he came. So it's okay, but it's also, we're doing it in a responsible way. I'm not trying to come up into somebody's bubble. Now, I will tell you this. Now, if somebody comes in my bubble, I'm okay with it, and they understand that. But I'm not going to break that 6-foot barrier, and if I do, I'm responsible about it, like, oh, so sorry, or whatever, but still smiling. And I just feel like we really can be the light more than ever. I feel like God's lifting up his people in this time.
He is.
I just wanted to say, because I've noticed that a lot in the stores, and it makes me sad that we treat everyone like they're infected. Right. Like,
oh, that's so good.
To walk around treating them like they're sick and like they're disgusting. Honestly, the looks I've seen, the you know, it's like, it blows my mind, really. And I usually don't wear a mask unless I have to, like Costco, but I do smile at people, and I do give them consideration, because what if they're really suffering with depression and they haven't seen anyone talk to them or smile at them in months?
Yeah.
And you can be a little light to them. And kind of going off, I just want to mention that with the government reach, it's like a slippery slope, I feel like there. If we are going to just allow them to control our medical freedom, we really need to be careful, because what if they do come out with a mandatory vaccination and then they are forcing us to get it and give it to our children? And right now we're giving them the steps to do that by just letting them put a one-size-fits-all plan on the whole nation and taking away all of our freedom.
Ben,
And
Ben, I want to cue you up right here. I'm gonna set you up with I'm gonna lob this in for you.
Don't want to get going.
You're in the healthcare profession. You're also in nursing school. You're also literally like one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Yes.
Tell me just your thoughts on what she just said. Some of the points that she was just making, just on the vaccinations, all that.
So here's the thing. Whatever your stance is on vaccinations, I don't think any of us should be okay with allowing the government to tell us what we can and cannot do to our bodies.
Right.
In
Yeah.
any regard, in any sense. Whether you have cancer and you want chemo or you want to go the natural route, that should be your decision.
Right.
If you're having children and you want to vaccinate them or don't want to vaccinate them, that should be your decision.
Right.
Circumcision, that should be your decision.
Right.
The where I draw the line, and this should be pretty fundamental across the lines, is that you should not be able to kill your own child outside of the womb or inside of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny that the people who are for abortion use the argument, my body, my choice. First of all, that body inside of you is not your body. Second of all, why does that argument stop there? If I don't want to vaccinate myself or my children, why is it now all of a sudden not my choice? And like she said, the slippery slope. Whether you agree with vaccinations or not, if you give the government the power to do something like that, and I know this can all sound very conspiracy theory, but I mean, you look at other governments, what they've been able to get away with, the corruption in the world, the evil that's in the world, but a lot of people just want to think that, oh no, our government could never be corrupt. Our government can never be evil. It's out there. Evil is out there. The enemy wants to steal, kill, and destroy your life, your salvation, your family, your happiness, however he can do it.
And the Bible says God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. And that has really helped me through this. Like, do your research and make a sound decision and pray about it and ask God, is this right for me? Is this right for my family? Is this, and it's not all like one size fits all. And I believe that's what I want to be fighting for, is just to have that choice, the choice.
Yeah, and you look at, and I know it may sound ironic that I'm in healthcare and I'm in nursing school when I have these thoughts about the healthcare system, but it's because at its core, I believe in healthcare. I believe in helping others. I believe in health and wellness. And you look at these doctors that have gone against the status quo, and they are shamed, arrested, brought up on false charges. I mean, look at that pandemic video that's going around with that doctor that used to work with Dr. Fauci. And people are so quick to want to debunk that. They're so quick to want to shame those doctors that have gone against the status quo and have found in their research something that goes against what we've done all along. I think a lot of times healthcare is scared to admit that they were wrong. How many times has healthcare been wrong? How many times have we done ridiculous treatments for things and then we're like, oh, that didn't work, and so we do something else? That's okay. Science evolves, or the knowledge we have in science evolves as time goes on, and it's okay to admit that we were wrong. If you have the best intentions about doing something, it's okay to admit when you're wrong. If your intentions are outside of, if you don't have good intentions and your intentions are for money, power, whatever they may be, you're not going to admit that you were wrong because your number one interest is not the care of people's health.
Right. And so I'm just going to kind of close it up. We've been going a little bit long, but first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you guys for coming on here and just pouring out and just sharing some things. So I want to say this. Here at Harvest Clear Lake, and this is not to put on a front or a blast on anybody else that's not doing it, but here at Harvest Clear Lake, we believe in the Constitution of the United States of America as the forming government of our country. We believe that that is the highest form of government, and all government has to lend its own authority to that. So in saying that, I believe that we've taken precautions, and we're going to take some more precautions. But I believe that this little thing has ran its course. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the next few weeks to get things ready. But in June, we're coming back full on in service at Harvest Clear Lake. I believe that we are okay to do that. I believe it's safe to do that. I believe we're constitutionally sound to do that. Matter of fact, there are some precedences being done right now from the U.S. Attorney's Office, William Barr, and our president, and so we're going to continue down that vein. So we just want to encourage everybody that for those of you that feel safe, for those of you that feel it's okay, for those of you that feel that maybe you're still at risk to get something, you could stay home and still catch us live. We're still going to be doing that. But for those that realize that everything's okay, you can come on out now and I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Now that the obstacles are no longer in our way, to quote the great song, let's come to church. You can come here, and we will be having our doors open to welcome you. That's going to be in the first Sunday of June, so we're excited about that. But in the meantime, we're still offering everything that we're going to be doing. And even after that, we're still going to be offering what we're doing now, all of the online and virtual groups. Just real quick, you guys can say a closing remark. Just keep it to like 60 seconds. Go ahead, Leah. You can start.
I just want to say to anyone who's feeling the depression and the loneliness creeping in, I just really encourage you to reach out to someone. There are people for you, and reach out to any one of us. If you're seeing this, we want to be there to support you, and the virtual life groups may be awkward at first, and you have to get used to it, but they're really fun. So just get connected with someone.
I want to say this to anyone that is at other churches that may be watching right now or see this, or people at other churches. I think the Church of America as a whole needs to realize that it's time. Enough is enough. If you're a pastor, heed these words. If you're not a pastor, go talk to your pastor about this. I think it's time for the church to open back up. I mean, enough is enough. We are a free country. The First Amendment gives us the right to practice religion, to assemble as a people. And think about this fact. There are talks of 4th of July celebrations being canceled in the United States. In other words, we don't have the freedom to celebrate our freedom.
Wow.
Dang, I gotta follow that.
Could've gone
what they
last,
said. So I would say, just anyone who may be sitting home and you don't know what your next steps is because maybe your employer is shut down, or maybe there's been a seed planted in you where you want to start dreaming. I actually just opened up a Bible study. It's open to men, women, doesn't matter who. It's called Eat, Pray, Hustle. It's on Facebook. $0 to enter. I have a book in there that you can read digitally and catch up literally the first couple days. It's only 4 weeks long. But this really is the time to really, sow those seeds that have been given to you, and maybe it's go back to school, or start writing the book that you've been wanting to do, or start the podcast, or start running like you've been saying for 6 years, talking to myself. Go do the things that you've been called to do but haven't had the time or the resources or the energy, because as not fun as this is all the time, we're not going to have life is going to come back, right?
Right.
We're going to get busy again. There's going to be tons of things piled on your schedule. So take the time for what it is and don't keep yourself isolated. Reach out to people, get involved, start a Zoom, like do something for yourself right now because this is a time to do those things.
Yeah.
And come to church.
Yeah.
And get cryo aid.
And cryo-aid.
I have two quick things I want to say. First thing, when things do go back to the new normal, don't be afraid to go to your favorite restaurant or your favorite business or to get your family photos taken. Like, support those local people around you because even I know people think CryoAid's like this huge franchise, just all that stuff, but we're not. Like he is the person behind CryoAid. I'm just his helper, but like his heart is behind it. Like Leah's heart is behind that camera. So just support those people around you.
Yes.
Second thing, really quick. I just want to thank our pastors because if you think like production's amazing, which it is, and our small groups are amazing, which they are, it's all because of the trickle-down effect. Right. And we have 6 amazing pastors in this church, and just the love and the connection and the community. Like, even Pastor Heather texts me, like, hey, I know the gym's closed. How are you doing? Like, something so, like, minute, but meant so much to me. Like, that's who leads this church. And the only reason why I'm getting so emotional is because their love literally trickles down to everyone. So just go back to this new normal and, like, don't be afraid in the sense that we know who our God is and we know who's taking care of us, and we're just excited I'm excited for June now. Like, it's a month away.
Come to church.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
Yeah, so just to go on that love thing, I don't know, I just felt some in my spirit, maybe somebody out there, maybe you look at, when she was talking about the pastors, maybe you had a thought in your head like, well, it's kind of rough around the edges. There's such thing as something called tough love. Like, the Bible says that the Lord will discipline his children. It's what he does. So that has to have, there's a heart behind it. If you just let people go to and fro, there's no discipline, there's no direction. What do you care if you don't pour into them? So, I just want to say that. The other thing is, again, I just want to encourage you to connect. If you're not connecting in a virtual group, or maybe you know somebody. If you're here watching this, you're connecting, obviously. But maybe you know somebody who you haven't seen connect in a virtual group that we have. I encourage you, reach out to them. Let them know how easy it is. Send them the link. Yeah. Call them if they're not on it and say, hey, you're not here. Like, what are you doing? I mean, I know you're not at the movies. I know you're not at the beach. I know you're not there. Like, really, we need to come together. We really do need to come together.
And the link is the same for every group.
It's the same link.
It's the same link.
Genius.
The same link.
It's really good. And the password's Harvest, so there's the secret.
Yeah.
The secret's out.
And the other thing is, it doesn't matter what church you're at. Like, I have people who've been reaching out to me like, hey, can you make sure to share that live stream because I'm in Indiana. I have a girl in Indiana who's been watching every single week, and she's like, I don't have
where she came from. I've seen her. I was
her
like,
name's
is this
Taylor,
lady?
yeah.
Okay.
She's like, I don't
Shout
have
out
a
to
church, and like literally,
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
She's like, I feel like I'm growing, like I cannot ignore his pull to me anymore. And I was like,
That's awesome.
so
Wow.
I actually had to share that with Pastor last week because I was like so excited about it. So it doesn't matter where your people are. I should tag all my family from all over the United States, like in our live feed, because I want them to, because I know they're not getting it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right? So this might be all they get.
And there's literally a place for everyone. I mean, as youth leaders, like, if you as an adult are feeling the strain, imagine your children. Imagine the teenagers that are already in angst, whether there's a pandemic or not. So we literally have a live group for that too, but have your teenagers go on any of the live groups. Like, we're all family friendly here.
Yeah.
Literally the same link, literally the same password. Just get connected.
Are we really stopping? Like, I feel like we're just getting going. I'm like comfortable now. But I do want to say another thing. I just want to give our pastors a hand for not being afraid to tell their truth, to tell the truth, They're not afraid of that, and they've never been afraid of that for I think 8 years we've been here. And I think that's something that we should really honor and cherish because they keep it real.
And it's not reckless.
No.
If you're out there thinking it's reckless, it's not. A lot of thought goes behind what they do. Like you said in the beginning, everything has a purpose. I mean, yes, they're human. They will make mistakes like any one of us, but they are hearing from the Lord, and they do take precautionary measures, especially through this whole thing, and they'll respect you, and they love you.
Yeah. And they're staying in prayer over this. I mean, Pastor said last week he even didn't get the release until then to actually fully go in to speak, how he felt about it. And then he got it and he went. But another thing I want to mention, something that Pastor Bubba said that really spoke to me was about like what we're doing right now. And that really spoke to me. And then another thing from Elevation about like the new normal. And I really just encourage you to don't pause your relationship with God right now. Like cultivate the things he's doing in your life and bring that back to when we go to church. Like let that elevate you, let that like flourish and bring that back. I feel like this time shouldn't be wasted, and we should just carry that into our new season.
And if all you take out of this pandemic is a closer relationship with God, then you won.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's it.
Amen.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you guys all so much, man. You guys had so much input. Even the shy ones on the end had so much input.
Sorry, I was getting into it. I was like, okay.
I love it. I love it. I love it. She's ready to preach.
Your life's not that
too
bad,
much
is
to
it?
say.
First Sunday in June.
First
No,
Sunday in
thank
June,
you.
she's on.
I will be. Never mind.
She'll be sick that day.
So, man, I thank you guys all so much for your input, your just for pouring in, for being here, your time. I hope this helped anybody that's had some things going on. I hope this encourages you. I hope this inspires you. Ultimately, we want you guys to just feel confident on getting back to normal life and just allowing this phase, this season that we're in to go its way and move forward in life. I think we're all going to come out of this better because of it. We love you, and we're here for you. Connect with us any way we can. HarvestClearLake.net or on our Facebook page, our Instagram. We love you guys. Thank you all for being here. Have a great day.